Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 15th February 2021. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles for mains related articles on page number 6 editorial page, and some of the important developments for prelims related, we will say, the syllabus of our examination. Let us take overview of these articles. Fuzzy law, unclear jurisprudence and trampled rights. So the article here is discussing about the kind of arbitrariness the government is showing in blocking the websites, especially the recent issue that happened with the Twitter website, social media website. So here the article is discussing there is lack of clarity in the law, and that's why there is also problem with these companies how to comply with these laws in India, the multinational companies, especially the social networking websites. Okay, so that is becoming the problem. At the same time, the fundamental right in our constitution, freedom of speech and expression, that is somehow getting curbed, and the people are not having the remedy for that. Okay, so for that purpose the article is giving also some way forward in this. So we will discuss from GS to polity and governance perspective. Then for prelims related articles, fossils of Dickinsonia found at Bhimbetka. So this Bhimbetka site or the caves in near the Bhimbetka, they are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and here this Bhimbetka has some historical significance. Okay, so the Stone Age paintings are there in those caves. Now the new fossils of this Dickinsonia was let's say considered as a small animal to be lived 550 million years ago on the earth. So some of the fossils of Dickinsonia have been found in Russia and Australia. So now such fossils are found in Bhimbetka in India. This is the site in Madhya Pradesh, Bhimbetka. So we will talk about Bhimbetka and some historical perspective, art and culture perspective also. Yes, Russia's foreign minister holds talks with on climate with US envoy. So the article is having the reference to Arctic Council. Okay, so that's why here we are going to look into some of the basics of this international grouping, Arctic Council, wherein India has the observer status, right? Because there was also question in mains examination why India is having more interest in Arctic Circle or Arctic, we can say Arctic Council. Okay, so UAE's Hope probe sends home first image of Mars. So from science and technology, especially space technology, whatever the space missions of, let's say, more significance, this is UAE's or we can say the Arab country's first such interplanetary probe that is sent now. Recently it has entered into orbit of Mars. So we'll understand and these developments from prelims perspective, space technology. Fine. So let us see now one by one these articles. First, fuzzy law, unclear jurisprudence and trampled rights. Okay, so the article is having context of recent developments. Okay, so here in what happened in first part, the article is giving the background of recent developments. What happened is on 1st February 2021, many of the Twitter accounts were suspended on the backdrop of, we can say, the kind of violence observed in Delhi on 26th January. Okay, and it is found that such blocking of website by the government did not earlier provide any reason for such blocking. At the same time, later on, Twitter itself revoked the suspension by itself, and now the government had some quarrel with the Twitter company, and it said that it has not followed the orders of the government. Okay, and then there was meeting between the Twitter officials and the government, and there was somehow the we can say consensus happened between the company and the government. Okay, so here the context is basically some of the Twitter accounts were promoting this hashtag Modi planning farmer genocide. Okay, and because of that many such accounts were suspended on the let's say reason. The government gave the reason of threat to public order. Okay, so we have to understand which laws guide these provisions, and from which laws the government gets such powers to block the websites. Okay, so this is important, and the main law is IT Act 2000. And that too, some of the gray areas which are there in that legal provisions under IT Act 2000, that is section 69A. Though we can understand in Shreya Singhal case, Supreme Court has struck down this section 69A. However, it has said that the court or the Supreme Court missed an opportunity to guide the law in the pro-free speech direction as it had with section 69A. Without engaging in detailed analysis, the court largely endorsed the legal regime as it stood. So that means the Supreme Court has missed the opportunity to clearly explain what are the, let's say, provisions or what are the reasonable restrictions that government can put on freedom of speech and expression under this article, especially freedom of speech and expression on online or digital platforms. Okay, so that's why we can say that. But recently the Supreme Court has, in the judgment of Kashmir internet ban case, it is at least now an arguable position of law that any order restricting access to internet or information on the internet must be made public. The Supreme Court has clearly mentioned in this judgment. So there are two issues here. One is that on what grounds the government is restricting the internet's access, or we can say blocking the websites. Okay, and second is whether the government is transparent in communicating these reasonable restrictions or the reasons which it is using to block these websites. Okay, so two important issues are lacking the clarity here. So that's why the article is saying that, or the writer is of the view that combination of bad law and unclear jurisprudence has created situation where these companies or the people are facing problems in we can say defending the freedom free speech rights of Indian citizens. Okay, so this is the problem we are facing at present, and the article is providing way forward here in the end for this purpose. Surely the legal reforms which are required, right? So legal reforms, in a sense, there is need to bring clarity in that IT Act provisions, as somehow the government can use those vague terms like a threat to public order, threat to security of the nation, sovereignty of the nation, right? So that's why there is need to have more clarity. At the same time, the government should use or invoke such provisions in rare cases. Okay, so here we can say the best case scenario would be prohibit the government from being able to directly order intermediaries to block access to online information except in narrowly defined emergency cases. So the Supreme Court should come up with certain, let's say, changes here in its own judgment, bring more clarity, because there are less chances that government will come up with such changes in this law. Right. So surely there is need to bring changes in that IT Act, and there should be no such direct order to intermediaries to block access to online information. Intermediaries here, in a sense, all those who are internet service provider or these companies which are acting as platforms like social networking websites are there, or e-commerce website. All these websites are now considered as intermediaries, including even the internet cafes, right? They either provide the access to internet or they provide the platform for such interaction among the people in digital manner. Okay. At the same time, it is vitally important that blocking orders made public. So at the same time, how we have seen in recent times, the government is not having the in a transparent way, not communicating the reasons behind blocking those websites. So that's why the government should be very much transparent. Whatever the reason is there, that reason should be communicated to the people whose accounts are blocked, or to the company whose let's say that a website is blocked. Okay, so this is very much important. Now, what kind of question can be asked? A combination of bad laws and unclear jurisprudence has created obstacles to defend the free speech rights of Indian citizens. Substantiate. So, you try to provide such instances wherein the lack of clarity in the law and how the government is not being clear in communicating the reasons behind blocking such websites or those intermediaries to access to the let's say internet, right? So it affects the free speech rights, that is freedom of speech and expression under Article 19 of Indian Constitution, right? So here you can discuss by giving such references to instances that are happening in recent times. Then from basics, what kind of question can be asked? Explain the significance of freedom of speech and expression in democratic country like India. Now, to answer such kind of question, you should be very well prepared along with some references to these instances, how these instances restrict such freedoms, or we can say that exercising such rights in the democratic country, right? So, freedom of speech and expression under Article 19 of Indian Constitution is very important, in a sense whenever in a democratic setup there is always scope for dissent, right? And there is always scope of inclusive view. So that's why we can say that here each and every person is allowed to speak what he is of, or his opinion or her opinion on any issue. But however, these rights are not absolute in Indian Constitution, right? So that's why we can say that in the end, that whatever the rights which are given under Article 19 are not absolute, and that's why there are some reasonable restrictions in exercising those rights. For example, public order, morality, or we can say that incitement of offense, friendly relations with the foreign countries, sovereignty and security of the country, contempt of court, right? All these provisions are there in reasonable restrictions for freedom of speech and expression. Surely to ensure the order and stability in the society, they are needed. Internal security, overall sovereignty of the country, they are needed. However, they should not be used arbitrarily by the government. So in this manner, we can answer this type of question. Try to attempt this question for 150 words, 10 marks. And for first question, you can use the inputs from this article, right? Next. Now from prelims perspective, fossils of Dickinsonia found at Bhimbetka. Now this Dickinsonia is considered as the early animals which lived 550 million years ago. Especially we can say that such fossils are found in Russia and Australia. So you can mention that, keep in mind here, you can note them down. Russia and Australia. Now such fossils are found on the roof of Bhimbetka rock shelters, or we can say these are the caves where early people or stone age people lived in those caves. And there are some let's say stone age paintings on those caves. Here you can see here, like they are having certain geometric shapes, they are showing their own way of lives and lifestyle here on those paintings, and that's why it is very important heritage that we are having here in our country. Bhimbetka near Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Okay, these caves from stone age, early history we can say. And some additional information, it is UNESCO heritage site. Then inside it is located inside Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary. This is also important, right, at foothills of Vindhyas range. And there are evidences of stone age here, we can say that, and there are oldest paintings found almost 10,000 years old, these paintings. So from art and culture perspective also, this is important. Caves, right? So caves and cave paintings. So Bhimbetka caves is very important for early lifestyle, art and culture, and our history also. right? So from current affairs, you need to know about Dicksonia, let's say fossils of Dicksonia are found here, Dickinsonia, sorry. So this animal, and then about Bimbetka, fine, okay. So you can remember that from prelims perspective. Next article here, Russia's foreign minister hold talks on climate with US envoy. So here the discussion was especially related to Arctic Council, okay, to agree to cooperate further within Arctic Council. So what is important for us is Arctic Council. So this was established in 1996. This Arctic Council was established in 1996 through Ottawa Declaration. Ottawa is the city in Canada, and through this declaration, these countries, especially those who are these countries lie in Arctic Circle. Okay, Arctic Circle, the region beyond 66.5 north and up to 90° north. Okay, so which are these 8 countries? Okay, 8 countries: Canada, US, Russia, Denmark, and then Norway, Sweden, Finland, and then Ireland. And we can say, yes, Norway is there. So these are the countries here, these 8 countries from the Arctic Circle. Again, I am repeating: Canada, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Russia, Sweden, and United States. So do not get confused, United States is also having boundaries because of Alaska. Okay. So Alaska lies in Arctic Circle, and which is part of United States. So that's why it is also a part of this Arctic Council. India got observer status in 2013. India has interest in Arctic region. Why? Some of the important region you need to know that for energy security, especially for the kind of oil and gas reserves, especially natural gas reserves it has. As we know that Arctic Ocean has extensive continental shelf, especially of significance for Russia, and that's why Russia is having somehow a beneficial view for melting of ice caps in, or we can say icebergs in the Arctic Ocean. Melting will result into exposure of this continental shelf, and surely it will explore more such reserves of oil and natural gas in that region. And this is of significance for India also, because India also need to or have some let's say interest in that global commons, we can say oil and gas reserves in that region, right? At the same time, Russia is having some significance in a sense, it will get new transit routes for its interiors or Siberian region, right? So at present it is kind of landlocked region and it is not having access to sea at present. So that's why for that purpose it is of significance for India sorry, Russia, for India, oil and gas reserves and other such mineral reserves in that region. Okay, so minerals exploration in that part, right? It works on consensus base, right? At the same time, Secretariat Tromsø in Norway. So this is the basic information you need to know about. Now what kind of question UPSC may ask on this? Last year UPSC asked such kind of question for G20. Which among the following countries are members of G20 grouping? So surely now you need to know the names of the countries for all these international groupings, at least those having the maximum members, 20 members at least. More than that it is not needed, surely. So that's why for Arctic Council they may give such kind of question again this year in 2021. Okay, so try to answer this question: which among the following groups of the countries are members of Arctic Council? So attempt this and answer in the comment box of this video. Next, again the article from prelims perspective: UAE's Hope probe sends home first image of Mars. Now recently Hope mission of UAE entered into orbit of Mars. Okay, and this is a very significant development in terms of international space exploration. and this was the first such Arab mission, interplanetary mission we can say, and to Mars it was first by UAE, and this year it marked the it was third such country to send such mission to Mars. The other countries, China and US, also launched mission to Mars in July 2020. Okay, so recently it had sent first such picture of largest volcano in the solar system, Olympus Mons. Suppose there is question which Olympus Mons was in news recently, it is related to, or it is, so it is the largest volcano in our solar system, or they will give certain other options there. So you need to know about this, and it was given by such photo was captured by Hope probe of UAE. Now UAE sent this to also mark the 50 years which let's say it is celebrating to mark 50th anniversary of unification of nations. So it is 7 Emirates, United Arab Emirates. This country is made up of 7 such Emirates coming together to form the country, right? So surely this is the 50th anniversary they are marking with sending such probe. At the same time, the Hope will orbit the red planet for at least 1 Martian year, 687 days. This is the Martian year. So Martian year means, that means the Mars which takes 1 year, or we can say that the time period for 1 revolution around the sun. So for basics purpose, you also need to know that from inside to outside in our solar system, that is from Mercury, what happens is there is increasing time period of revolution of all these planets around the sun. That means the least time is taken by Mercury, and this goes on increasing in the outward direction till the end. Okay, so yes, this was the information from this article. You can again attempt this question here. Consider the following statements about the Hope space probe. Just now we discussed this, so try to attempt such kind of question. Keep attempting questions from current affairs, especially those who are directly related to our examination. So attempt this question, give answer in the comment box, right? So yes, surely these were the articles related to our examination. One more article that is not included here, but yes, surely of importance. Carla put wildlife sanctuary. It was in news. Wildlife sanctuary. It was in news because of death of 6 elephants in last 2 weeks. Okay, now this Karlaput Wildlife Sanctuary is located in Kalahandi district of Odisha. Kalahandi district of Odisha. This is located in the southern Odisha region. Kalahandi district is also one such region which is also mineral rich, at the same time the one of the least developed region in India also. Okay, of Odisha also as well as India. Now yes, southern Odisha, this region, and you need to know that somehow the death of these elephants is happening because of one particular disease, that is hemorrhage septicemia. Septicemia. Okay, and it is being said that this is being transferred from domestic animals. It is being transferred from domestic animals to wild animals. So there is somehow the forest officials are vaccinating domestic animals, as well as they are disinfection is going on of all water bodies in those regions for this disease. Okay, so important for us location wise, Karlaput Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, yes, so these were important articles from मेंस एज वेल एज प्रीलिम्स पर्सपेक्टिव. अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आता है तो इसको लाइक कीजिए, कमेंट कीजिए और श्योरली शेयर कीजिए आपके फ्रेंड्स के साथ में और इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari Sir and team, you can contact LUKMAAN IAS. Thank you.